Welcome to Eat Well 4, Practical Solutions. So the first topic of conversation is going to be meal planning, because meal planning is a strategic approach to actually help you organize and prepare meals in advance. It often involves creating a menu for a specific period, for example, the week or for the month, and we want to consider a variety of food groups for a balanced diet. Or if it's a case that you are in phase 1 and phase 2, clean the palate and the dig, you're probably following a meal plan right now. So it's really important that we strategize around when you have those specific meals, around work or even social occasions. Now, the process actually includes crafting a detailed shopping list based on your planned menu or meal plan, whatever you want to call it, to promote healthier food choices and avoid impulsive decisions at the store. So what I like to do is sit down on a Friday evening, I'll plan out all of my ingredients, and then on the Saturday in the morning, I'll go to the supermarket. And the reason being is most people are hungover from the night before. They go out on a Friday night, then Saturday the supermarkets are usually dead. But also that's when supermarkets have produce delivered over the weekends so that they can set up ready to tackle Monday. So you might notice there's a little bit more on the shelves compared to throughout the week, Monday to Friday. Then on the Sunday, I will batch cook all of my meals, and I'll even individualize every single meal to make sure it's planned around my training. So we need to take it one step further and actually look at cooking and prepping our food ahead of time, such as chopping vegetables, marinating proteins, and the thing is with meal planning is it offers several benefits, including time and cost efficiency. So the fact is, if you say you don't have time to weigh your food or you don't have time to meal prep, it simply will actually save you time. And if you don't do these things, it just means it wasn't a priority. Also helps with cost efficiency as well, as you start to use products in bulk. It helps with portion control and actually monitoring adherence with your meal plan, or with the different types of meals that you're focusing on with portion control. And this method is going to help streamline your grocery shopping, reducing food waste and ensuring nutritious meals are readily available, making it an effective tool for those with busy lives. So what I want you to do is, for a brief moment, I want you to think about your next meal or snack. Perhaps you've already had breakfast, you're heading into meal 2 on your meal plan, or it could be a case that you're having breakfast, lunch and dinner, 3 meals a day. So let's go with that. You're going to be having lunch. What are you going to be eating? What portion sizes of each macronutrient are you going to have? Carbohydrate, protein, fat. What type of food are you going to be having? Do you know when you're going to have that meal? So for lunch, is it around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? Have you pushed your first meal back? So breakfast, you usually have around 11 o'clock now, which means you have a late lunch, maybe around 2:30, 3. Who will you be eating with? Because we tend to conform to behaviors based on social suggestion. And the people that we surround ourselves with actually influence our eating behaviors. And if we link that to where will this meal take place? Is it at a restaurant? Is it a cafe? Is it a buffet? Is it at work? Is it at home? Do you have control over those portion sizes? So number 5, have you thought about portion sizes? Or do you have limited control because the restaurant's idea of a portion size may be completely different to yours? So I really want to stress the importance of actually planning in advance when you are meal prepping. If you do eat out at a restaurant or a cafe, what do we need to do in advance to make sure that we hit our calorie target, our proteins, our fats, our carbs, without deviating from the plan? So shopping and budgeting, when we actually navigate the world of shopping and budgeting, there are several strategies on screen which can actually help you make the most of your money. So we want to opt for value ranges or sort of generic brands and buy them in bulk. So head to places like Costco for extended shelf life, reducing the overall cost per unit. We also want to embrace seasonal eating. Not only would that align with a budget-conscious approach, but also ensures that you enjoy fresher, more affordable produce. So bullet point number 2, please do eat in season. Now, I do advise that you don't go shopping hungry. We have the hormone called ghrelin, which I like to call the gremlin. And if you are hangry, it's going to shoot an arrow up to the brain. It says, Jack, you're super hungry. It then leads to impulse decisions and impulse buys. So we actually want to craft or make an ingredients list or a shopping list prior to going shopping. And we also want to make sure that we've eaten so it doesn't lead to these impulse buys. But don't get me wrong, a snack or two that can be added to your trolley or added to your shopping basket, very, very important for when you do get hungry at home. That way we have one item that we can have access to if we are craving sugary refined carbohydrates. We're not completely going off plan, but it actually stops us from leading to that impulse reaction where we order a takeaway, or perhaps we completely throw a meal plan out the window and we start having more than one snack, 2, 3, 5. So please do make a list and don't go shopping hungry. We also want to steer clear of the end of aisles bog off offers, so buy one get one free. They are generally labeled yellow, and they're also unhealthy junk food options. So it's going to be processed foods, cakes, biscuits, chocolates, sweets. Again, one of them or two of them in your basket or in your trolley, absolutely fine, but not a whole case full. Coupons and discounts can be valuable for cutting costs. So you may have to download an app, or perhaps you do have physical coupons that you can take in. That is going to help to maximize your savings by saving you money over the course of the month. Now, when we get to the kitchen, we actually want to adopt practices like batch cooking, because that's going to allow you to prepare for meals in larger quantities, saving both time and money. We want to improve your relationship with food, so variety is going to be very, very important. However, if simplicity is your goal and you enjoy having the same meal repeatedly throughout the day, then by all means, please do so. We want to freeze surplus food, whether it's bulk cooked or perishable items nearing expiration. That's going to help us to prevent waste, and it also extends the usability of purchases. Moreover, when we actually use up leftovers, the final bullet point on today's screen, that's going to help to contribute towards stretching your grocery budget further, because then we can actually integrate those practical tips into our shopping and cooking routines and help us to save money in the short term, which contributes towards more of a long-term variety with different types of food that you want to try. So moving on, we're going to look at food label reading. Now, label reading is a crucial skill when it comes to making informed and healthy choices during grocery shopping. When we actually understand the information provided on these food labels, they may look quite scary, but it's very straightforward. It's going to empower you to make better decisions with your nutritional needs, dietary preferences, and overall well-being. So we first want to actually find a product that we like. We want to turn that product around, and it will have the nutritional label on the back. We want to start by looking at the serving size. It typically dictates the quantity of nutrients listed on that label. So for example, on the left hand side, we could see that for this product, per 100 grams, it contains roughly 167 kilojoules. kJ is abbreviated to kilojoules, and then it contains 40 kilocalories. However, per half a pot, assuming this might be soup, 300 grams, it's 119 kilocalories or 501 kilojoules. So we actually know that the total weight or total volume of this product is 600 grams. On the left-hand side, we've got differences in energy, fat, of which are saturated fats, carbohydrates, of which are sugar, fiber, protein, and salt. We've got the essential macronutrients in there which we need within the body, so carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Be mindful of the type of fat, favoring unsaturated fats over saturated and trans fats, and keep an eye on those sugars as well, because excessive sugar intake is linked to various health issues. We also want to take a look at the fiber content, because if you remember from previous trainings, our gut microbiome gets paid in fiber. So if we pay our little workers well, they're going to digest that food, process it, and metabolize it a lot more efficiently. We also want to scan the ingredients list to understand what goes into a product, and we will come on to that on later slides. But to put it simply, ingredients lists are going to be in different orders depending on the type of product that you have purchased. Now we can see on the right hand side we've got a completely different label, different fonts. We can see it's actually could be a protein bar. 60 grams is one bar, contains 220 calories. The total fat is 8 grams. Saturated fat is 2 grams. Trans fats is 0 grams. We've also got cholesterol, sodium, and total carbohydrate listed on there as well, alongside vitamins such as vitamin D, calcium, and iron and potassium. So it is really good to actually compare these at first glance, especially if you have a little bit more time to run through that. You can even use the FitCoach app or other apps such as MyFitnessPal or Chronometer just to scan the barcode, and that will give you bring up in real time the values per macronutrient and other things on that product. So moving on, taking a look at traffic food labels. They are represented by the colours green, amber and red. They are a visual system designed to help you make quick decisions when it comes to the nutritional content of a food product. Now, this labelling system aims to promote healthier food choices, providing clear and easily understandable information about key nutrients. For example, green we typically associate with go. So the green light typically indicates that specific nutrient in the food product is within a desirable range. So we can see here that total fat is 3 grams, it's low, it's green. Then foods with a green label are generally considered healthier options, and we do encourage them within your diet. Whereas if we take a look at amber, that suggests a moderate level of a particular nutrient. For example, salt, 0.9 grams within this product. It's in the medium range. It's amber. Now, amber labels are often assigned to products that contain moderate amount of fat, sugar, or salt. We do advise to be mindful of the overall daily intake and to balance this out with a well-rounded diet. And then red, that indicates a food product contains high levels of a particular nutrient. This could be high in saturated fat, salt, or sugar. That's why we only see those areas on this traffic light labeling system. But we typically recommend that you avoid products that are labeled as red due to potential impact on health when consumed. By using traffic light labels, we can actually quickly assess the nutritional value of a product without going into the complexities with nutritional labels like we did on the previous slide. But it helps us to make quick and healthier choices, but we may not necessarily have the time or inclination to look at the nutritional information. So it's a great visual cue to encourage you to opt for more products with green labels, in moderation, amber, and to avoid red. So here's a thorough breakdown of a product and how you can actually use this traffic food label when you go around the supermarket. So for the first couple of years of my career, I actually printed this off and I took around every supermarket with me to better understand traffic light label reading systems. Now there's 4 areas. We've got total sugars, we've got fat, we've got saturated fat, and we've got salt. If the total sugars of a product is over 22.5 grams, then it will be considered red. However, if it's 5 grams or below, it's considered green. And you guessed it, almost like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. If it's over 5 grams and up to 22.5 grams, it's amber. Taking a look at saturated fat, anything over 5 grams would be considered red. Anything that's 1.5 grams and below is considered green. And once again, our Goldilocks and the Three Bears analogy, if it's over 1.5 grams and up to 5 grams, it's amber. So it gives you a pretty clear understanding of the different ranges for total sugars, fat, saturated fat, and salt. We typically want to focus on green for go, amber in moderation, and red we avoid. Red you'll find on any sort of frozen foods or processed foods. Amber, it can be with organic produce, it can be with frozen foods as well. And then green, typically natural foods, organic. Moving on, looking at labeling claims on foods and beverage products, such as low fat, 99% fat free, or juice drinks. They play a crucial role in marketing because they inform consumers about the nutritional content of products. So if we actually take a look at row number 2, low fat, it typically indicates that a product contains a reduced amount of fat compared to similar products or the regular version of the same product. Now, in terms of distribution and regulation, in many countries there are specific criteria and regulations defining what qualifies as low fat. For example, in the United States, a food item must have 3 grams or less fat per serving to be labeled as low fat or 99% fat free. So what does that mean? Well, this claim suggests that the product contains only 1% fat or less by weight. So it's a marketing strategy that are used by big companies to highlight the low fat content of a product, but please do make sure when you're purchasing a product, if it says low fat on the front, take a look at the ingredients list on the back. In the US, it's 3 grams or less of fat per serving. In the UK, I'm not too sure, but we could use that range to perhaps make a better or educated decision if there's a better quality product to the right or to the left of it, which 9 times out of 10 there usually is. Now, healthy living, diet and diabetic products, they're often misleading, they're expensive and highly refined, and the first time I came across this was when I was working as a diabetes lecturer, delivering lectures to type 1 and type 2 diabetics. Now, one of my family members are a type 1 diabetic, and when they were first diagnosed, we were beginning to understand nutrition and food and how that impacted her blood glucose levels. In the supermarket, we actually saw diabetic products and the original product. I believe, off the top of my head, it was hummus. This diabetic hummus was about £5, so $4 to $6. And the normal hummus was about £3 or $2 to $4. And the normal hummus actually had less sugar and more fiber compared to the diabetic hummus. So just because it says something on the tin doesn't mean it's going to be a better quality product for you. So that's why it's really important to use your label reading skills and look at the claims on the front of a product and compare it to the nutritional information on the back of a product. Ingredients labels. When reading food labels, we want to pay attention to the order of ingredients. The list starts with the highest quantity ingredient first, and then it starts to reduce in quantity as we start to go down the list. So we can actually see on the right side, it's both bread. So we've got fresh bread that's been made in the bakery, and then we've got bread that you can buy at your supermarket. So the bread that you can buy at the supermarket, the highest quantity ingredient is enriched flour, whereas for the fresh bread, it's freshly milled whole wheat flour. We can also see there's a difference in the number of ingredients within that product. For the fresh bread on the left hand side in the yellow, there is about 4 to 5 ingredients, whereas for the bread that you purchase in your supermarket, there's quite a few ingredients there, right? Other things that we need to be watchful for are trans fats, because they're not explicitly labeled as trans fats. They're actually labeled as partially hydrogenated oils. So using and knowing this alternative term can help us to identify and avoid products containing trans fat, which are linked to health risks like heart disease. Also, if they've got long tongue twisters such as a zodiac carbonide are not as good for us. If we've got short and sweet words such as water, honey, yeast, salt, it rolls off the tongue, pretty good for us. Now, zodiac carbonide is found in bread. I'd be worried if it starts to climb up the list. If we've got the long tongue twisters climbing up that list, then it's going to be less nutritious for us, and it can lead to long-term health complications. But to be honest, with it being right at the bottom and you purchased bread at your supermarket, I wouldn't stress too much, but if we can, try to get that fresh produce. Now, processed foods often have lengthy and complicated lists, as we talked about on the right-hand side, whereas the fresh produce is to be short and sweet. So we do need to be mindful of these details when reading food labels and take control of our diet to make better choices that align with our health and our wellness goals.